Product development is, of course, the complement of core asset development, and it's what you're shooting for in a product line operation. The goal of a product line effort is not to create a core asset base. The goal of a product line effort is to make money. You make money by getting products out the door. So if you think of a product line effort, we're going to become a product line organization. That means we have to create a core asset base. Yes, you have to create a core asset base, but that's not the end in itself. The end goal is to produce products from the core asset base and get a return on the investment that was needed to create the core asset base in the first place. So turning out products is your goal, and organizations that are well versed in product lines, like Celsius Tech, for example, don't think of it as turning out a set of products. They think of it in terms of having this production capability for Ship System 2000 from which they can spin off individual products in response to customer needs. And they put the needs of this product line, this production capability, first, over and above the needs of individual product development efforts. But as I said, that's the hard part, because for any specific customer, you are likely to get requests for changes to existing features or addition of new features that might benefit that customer, but that could potentially wreck your product line. And so how do you balance those requests in the face of the long-term goal of maintaining the viability of your product line? That's why the job of product line manager and running a product line organization is a full-time occupation. We did a product line probe on an organization that was just setting up a product line. And as part of our approach to conducting a product line probe, we have a one-day session with some of the principals involved, like the manager of the current organization, the designated or potential product line manager, the product line architect, and some marketing and business people. And when we asked this group, who's the product line manager or the designated product line manager, and they sort of look around and say, okay, well, it might as well be you, Fred. We'll call him Fred. Because Fred was already heavily involved in product development and product design. He was also heavily involved in meeting with customers. He was involved in doing demos at trade shows, and he was the guy who was sort of maintaining the list of bug reports or discrepancy reports for the project. And so they figured, well, you're doing all this stuff already, you might as well be the product line manager. And we had to say, well, it doesn't quite work like that, because you're doing all that for an existing product right now. But the product line manager needs to step back from the existing product and start thinking about a whole set of product, and needs to think about organizational structure and a funding model. All of these other big ticket items. So product development turns out products. In addition to the products that you create, it's potentially the case that some of the product-specific artifacts could become new assets. There will also be feedback from the product development effort back into both core asset development and overall product line management, particularly for new organizations that are learning the new way of doing things. And so there ought to be somebody who is looking after that aspect of it, and in particular collecting some basic measures about the efficiency and the effectiveness of this product line approach. Coming into product lines, you have a description, or coming into product development, you have a description of the particular product that you want to build. You have a scope definition, and the assumption is that the product you are building is within the scope of the product line. That seems like a kind of a duh. But in fact, in a large organization, and particularly one that's new to product development in a product line context, there may be cases where the product developers feel that hey, we've done this before. I know what the customer wants. I can put in all these cool features into the product, no problem. And you end up with a product that is in effect outside of the scope of the product line. And not only that, but it might actually be more expensive to produce or maintain those features. So what looks like a local optimization to you as a developer isn't necessarily an optimization when you look at the big picture, which is why you need somebody looking at the big picture. In addition to the scope, then, you have the core asset base and the production plan to guide what happens in product development. And there's a sidebar in the book that talks about the outcome of a product development effort being components in a much larger system. So what you turn out from the point of view of your production facilities and your marketing may be regarded as products. From the point of view of your customers, they may just be one component in a much larger system.